Hey everybody, it's Matt Shu from Upright Health, and today we are answering a question from MSana4 who asked, does it make sense to stretch before hockey? Should you stretch before you play hockey? And the short answer, MSana4, is yeah, you should probably be stretching before hockey. Most of us would probably benefit from doing some appropriately selected stretches before getting into any of our sports. So today, rather than just talk abstractly about what stretches you might want to be doing, I'm going to show you some stretches so you can just follow along with me before you go get out on the ice. So to start off with, we're going to do a simple kneeling hip flexor stretch. You're just going to be kneeling down on something that is soft enough for your knee. And we're going to be looking at getting into the psoas here and some of the upper quads with this stretch. So you just have one knee down. You're going to take 1 foot forward just like this. You keep your ribs down so you're not flaring up like this and giving yourself a big lower back curve. And you're keeping your right butt cheek, if possible, squeezed as you go into the stretch so that you feel that stretch through, again, the upper quads, through the hip flexor, and you don't feel like you're compressing your lower back. There are a couple different options here with this stretch. I'm going to show you from this direction. So if I go into this stretch and I want to adjust, the sensation here, I can move my foot over like that, and that gives me a little more of the high inner thigh muscles, those adductors. So that's one option. I can also go in like this, moving that foot out like that, and that'll give me more of the lateral hip musculature. So it just depends on what you feel like gets you the most bang for your buck. So you can just hang out here. Just got my timer going, so you can hang out with me. One of the big muscles you're going to stretch here is called the psoas, and that's going from the lesser trochanter going up and under the guts and attaching to the front of your lower spine. So that muscle tends to get pretty cranky on a lot of us. And basically that muscle is responsible for helping us do things like hip flexion. Well, if we're sitting all day, that muscle just gets super, super jammed up. Okay, so it's been about 30 seconds here for me in this position. Generally, you want to hold these stretches for at least a minute. And really, if you're trying to make really good changes to your muscle mobility, then you want to hold these stretches for actually 2 minutes. So in this video, we're only going to be doing 1 minute holds. So that has been about a minute. I'm going to back out of that. You can switch sides here. I'm going to take the right foot forward, squeeze the left butt cheek, keep my ribs down, keep my abs braced, and just push my hips forward. So I'm just hanging out here again, waiting for about a minute. Again, we can play around with different positioning. That the back foot can be moved over to the side like that, and I can lean forward into it. It gives me a nice solid stretch on my upper adductor muscles. I know for me that this is definitely a spot that needs to be worked on, so I just hang out here. It's been about 30 seconds. Just enjoy it. You just got to breathe, relax. Other things you can try here also include kind of moving the hips a little bit. You can figure out where your body likes or does not like the position and go to that position gently. Try to get your body used to being there. These kinds of stretches are especially effective, and let's go ahead and relax. They're especially effective for goalies because goalies are going in and doing things that are pretty hard for most people in general, and very hard if you have no warm-up and have done nothing to stretch out your muscles before doing them. So goalies, you should definitely be checking this out. All right, so then I'm going to shift back. I'm going to put my one knee down, 1 foot forward, and we can play with the foot position here. So it's going to depend on you whether you want your toes pointing in, up, out to the side. But basically, you just want to have the foot out in front of you. You can use this bench, something next to you to help you balance yourself. And you're going to start folding forward at the hip. So again, we are looking to make sure the spine stays in neutral and that we're not doing any kind of compensation. We're not letting our hips twist out to avoid the stretch. We're trying to keep ourselves square and lined up as we sink forward into this. So we're looking for a pretty solid hamstring stretch on the on the front leg. You can also play with knee bend. If you have a little bit of knee bend, you may find that that actually helps you stretch into the muscle a little bit better. If you feel like a lot of calf stretch, definitely put a little knee bend into your front leg to see if that helps move the stretch into your hamstrings. If you need the calf stretch, that's fine too. But right now, I'm trying to get all that hamstring. So I mentioned also you can adjust the foot position. So I'm going to show you that for me and for a lot of people actually, going out to the side like this can actually uncover some pretty nasty tightness in the lateral hamstrings. So you have to be careful with this though, because you'll feel if you need this stretch, you'll feel that it's just really, 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 really restricted, and it can feel like a lot of things are affected by this. So you need to go slow and gentle on this as you slowly lower yourself in. This is a stretch that most people have never done, so just as with any stretch that you've never done, be careful with it. So actually we've been here a little bit more than a minute, so let's go ahead and ease out of that. So next time you watch this video and you want to do this, you can go ahead and play with the foot position a little bit more. So let's go right back into this front position, and I'm going to angle my foot out because I know I like that, and I'm just going to come forward into this stretch. And right now I feel it all in my lateral hamstrings, which feels really nice after sitting for a long period of time. So oops, gotta get that timer going. So we're just gonna hang out here a little bit. It's important to remember that the hamstrings, the quads, the hip flexors, all these muscles are known for their primary motions in from anatomical position, but they actually do affect your hip joint in many ways, right? So hip flexors don't just flex the hip, they also help rotate the hip and help stabilize the hip. Your hamstrings, they don't just bend your knee, they don't just do hip extension, they're also going to affect hip rotation, they're going to affect hip flexion, right? All these things can play in to other motions, even if the name and the textbook function of the muscle is different. Okay, so again, just breathing and relaxing, just gradually getting in there. So hamstrings generally get super tight on people from sitting all day, your knees in a bent position, you're weakening your hamstrings from just sitting on them all day, and they're getting used to being in a really, really shortened position. So this is just helping them open back up. Okay. So then we're going to do a little adductor stretch, which we show pretty much everybody. Basically, you're going to have your hands down on the floor. You're going to put your foot out to the side. You can either have your toes down on the floor, toes up, somewhere in between. And then you're just going to shift your butt back. So I'm moving away from you right now. And I'll show you from the side view. If I get set, I keep my spine in neutral, and I start backing up like this. So that starts getting into the inner thighs. If I go like this, it's going to get a different part of my inner thighs. For me, that doesn't really get that much. Having my toes up a little bit helps me get a much, much more noticeable stretch. It might do that for you. Maybe you have to be a little bit more up. And anyway, you're just backing your butt up and hanging out, getting that stretch through the inner thigh. Breathing and relaxing. So while you're in that probably very painful position, you may notice a couple things. First, if this is really tight, you might actually feel a little bit of stretch along the inner thigh at the knee here. So that can feel very scary, and rightfully so, because this is right at a pretty fragile joint. Don't push this stretch very hard here. It's okay that you're feeling it there. That generally means that you're really tight, and over time, over the next week or so, if you're doing this consistently, that tightness will start to move and be more acute directly in the muscle rather than at the joint. Just don't push it. If you feel it here at the knee, be easy. Just let it gradually shift up into the muscle. Okay? Just with any stretch, you don't want to push through anything that's painful, especially if you feel something at the joint. The second thing that you might notice in this stretch is that the inner thigh muscles feel like they will never, ever, ever stretch out. It might feel like they're made of bone or wood or something like that. Those muscles do change. So you should be okay if you keep stretching. Don't give up hope yet. The inner thigh muscles, for whatever reason, generally feel like wood on people sometimes. And that's just how they are. They're a little stubborn that way. So let's go ahead and relax here. And then we'll switch over to the other side. Again, I'm going toes up, but you can go toes down or toes way, way up. And just shifting back, keeping the spine in neutral, not letting the lower back get into a huge arch. And we're just going to hang out here and let these muscles relax. So if you think about what we've done so far, we've worked on your front of your hip, we've worked on the muscles of the inner thigh, we've worked on the muscles of the back of the thigh to help restore some of these useful ranges of motion. So, and this is really only taking us a couple minutes. If we're doing 1 minute each in each position, we're talking about 6 minutes with the transitions and everything. We're talking 7 or 8 minutes of stretching. If you're getting more serious about this, then and holding the stretches for 2 minutes at a time, then we're talking about 16 minutes. So if you can squeeze that in before a hockey game, that'd be great. There are a couple other stretches you can probably throw in, but these are a good simple set. This is 3 stretches that can be super useful for you. And that is about a minute. So then we can shift forward, ease out of that, and relax. So that is a simple 3 stretch series that you can do for your hips before you get ready to go play hockey. So hope that's helpful for you, and hope you remember that pain sucks, life shouldn't. If you like these videos, don't forget to subscribe. Take care.